welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. Minnesota Vikings with a very comfortable 48-10 win over the Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday afternoon. And I rudely didn't even mention Isaiah Rodgers in the brief, immediate post-game. So the immediate reaction that I like to do on YouTube now to maybe help put a shot in the arm for the show. Thank you for those of you that checked it out. Not too many, but the show also uploads as a podcast on YouTube, and that's doing better than I expected so far. Somewhat better than I expected. It's doing pretty good. So sometimes, people don't like that it's just audio, but of course you can use YouTube Music. That's what people may also be doing as well, and I do appreciate it. Or they're just clicking on it for 10 seconds and clicking out, but I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever it was, I rudely did not mention Isaiah Rodgers in the video, so I actually feel really bad about that. Insane. A pick six, a scoop and score, and a forced fumble. So two actually, and he actually forced the fumble on the scoop and score as well. So Isaiah Rodgers, Fran Tarkenton Award. There. That's all you need to know. I mean, it's who else is it going to go to? Seriously, Harrison Smith, he had one pass deflection. That's about it. So, yes, that's a pretty easy choice. Fran Tarkenton Award, I'm just saying, it's duh. Another guy who might have been a candidate, Van Ginkel with 2 sacks. Really appreciate his overall performance as well, but Rodgers, easy choice. Of course, Carson Wentz was a strong performer as well. We didn't even talk about this on the last episode. I think I'm a little too far from the mic, so I apologize here. Let's get a little closer to increase the quality of the audio. I did this on Brave the Wild, and it sounded way better. So a brand new Brave the Wild came out yesterday afternoon. Check it out if you like. Of course, J.J. McCarthy with the ankle injury. So that was unfortunate, 2 to 4 weeks. Some people think it's a convenient timing and all that after having a very rough week last week. Yeah, but then video evidence shows that he was hurt. So it's a high ankle sprain, 2 to 4 weeks. Carson Wentz comes in and looks very respectable. Didn't have a blue screen moment. Cincinnati's defense isn't that great, but their offense did them 0 favors in this game. 0 favors. Pick sixes don't help. That's for damn sure. But of course, I guess the offense had to go right back out in that case. But the fumbles and such, having to get the ball back and putting pressure on the defense, they were frustrated. They were annoyed. The 3 and outs, just a lousy overall play of the offense and the defense and all that was very frustrating for the Cincinnati. Can imagine atmosphere going from pretty positive to pretty toxic in just a week. So really sad. They were up 2. They were 2-0 on the season. Joe Burrow comes up with turf toe and everything goes toxic again for the Bengals. And I kind of like Cincinnati, so I feel kind of bad about that. Jamar Chase, 1 catch for 9 yards, and he even lost a fumble. Perrine also lost a fumble along the way just to annoy the defense some more. Noah Fant lost a fumble in the game. Just unreal. Extremely frustrating to say the least. I believe Fant was the one, I forget which fumble that was. That might have been the scoop and score. I don't know why I'm blanking on that, and I do apologize. Will Reichert also hit a 62-yarder at the end of the half, so definitely momentum going in the half. I think that's 3 weeks in a row where the Vikings had a long field goal late, like at least fairly long anyway. Last week was pretty damn long. I think the first week it had some distance. Was it 48 yards? That's kind of long, but had a longer field goal per se at the end of the half. But this time it was just kind of like, well, what the hell, go for it. Might as well, go for it. We got to stay aggressive since we're only up by 33 points or whatever the heck it was at the time. So pretty funny how that turned out. Yeah, we were up by 28 points at the time. My apologies, 31-3. And Jordan Mason had just rushed for a touchdown as well, I believe. Yes, Cincinnati was when that Perrine fumbled the ball away, and then Reichert was able to get a 62-yarder just to add insult to injury. Honestly, that could have been the final score. The game was virtually over. By that time, it was 34-3. Even though there have been a couple of comebacks that were bigger than that. Buffalo 32 and the Vikings 33 years ago. But this Cincinnati team had no energy whatsoever. Pretty much out of the get-go. Carson Wentz, a really strong first drive. Just took 2 minutes down the field. Very solid, very precise. And then you had the pick six not long after that. Jake Browning, not nearly as sharp as he was last time against the Minnesota Vikings. Not screaming about never should have bleeping cut me. Well, I mean, whatever. It's not personal. It's business, and whatever. Jake Browning did a respectable job for Cincinnati that season. Since then, I don't know. He hasn't been as good. But, I mean, he is what he is. He's a backup. He could be a third stringer. He could be a backup. But whatever it is, whatever it was. I do think Kevin O'Connell waited a little too long to take some of the starters out. Carson Wentz, Jordan Mason, guys like that. Even Jefferson was out there probably too long. Just get him out of there. I mean, you're up by, what was it? Even at 41-3. Why are they still playing? What's the point? Like, right after Mason scored that touchdown to make it 41-3, sit him out. It's okay. You're not doing him any harm by sitting him out. You shouldn't be offending him. Carson Wentz ended up hitting T.J. Hawkinson for that touchdown again. That's when it's like common sense. Could you just sit them out? It's great. We appreciate it. Sit him out. 48-3. What's the last thing you want to do? Is have Carson Wentz have his ankle rolled one way or another. Some random bad luck type of moment that can really cost you. It's one thing to be excited that Max Brosmer's got in the game. It's another that he's your starting quarterback next week. You know what I mean? That could have happened. And discounting Cleveland would be a huge mistake because they just beat the Packers. So, I mean, you can't get too cocky at this moment. They beat the Packers. The 85 Bears, Green Bay Packers, that team with the greatest defense ever. And then a quarterback in Jordan Love that everybody thinks is the next, poor man's Aaron Rodgers. Whatever he is. Something like that. Poor man's this and poor man's that. I don't think Jordan Love is quite on the same level, but we'll see. Maybe he will be. He might end up being a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's possible. It'd be rude of me to say there's no way he's going to get there. So we'll see. Nice to see Cam Akers back out there, though. I really appreciate that. I talked about it on the video, of course. Cam Akers was brought back this past week. And I do believe, blanking on if I just talked about it. That's the weird part about doing the video. Yes, of course, how the Saints signed him in June, and I did a short video about it. Like, doggone it. I mean, it's like of course, once we got Mason, I guess he's gone. Doggone it. And then, well, the Vikings did end up re-signing him. The Saints did cut him before the end of training camp, unfortunately. And Akers basically tweeted out that the NFL is crazy. Like, why? Why does this keep happening? Because clearly the guy is actually a pretty good running back. Like his 14-yard run today was pretty smooth. It was nice. I think he's a legitimate running back in this league. He doesn't have to be your feature back. He could be a really nice number 2 or even a number 3. Frankly, I'd rather have him than Xavier Scott. I would. I'd rather have Cam Akers than Xavier Scott, but Scott can also be that kind of... You can have your running back by committee type of thing. But Mason's your feature back, where he's kind of power and skill. Scott's power, Akers' is skill, and you can kind of mix it up a bit and have a good solid running game while your quarterback also is having a good passing game as well. Mixing things up is extremely important to keep the defense honest. That's just common sense. Very happy to have Cam Akers back with the Minnesota Vikings, as I've talked about probably a million times in the show. He's my guy. Absolutely love Cam Akers. Again, Bromer's first completion was to Ty Felton. First completion in the NFL, a 9-yard pass. Really appreciated that. Missed on Cam Akers, unfortunately. Adam Thielen, the ball went right through his hands. That could have been actually Brosmer's first completion, which would have been nice. Brosmer's not from Minnesota, but it's the Gophers, the connection with the Gophers and everything, to a Minnesotan in Adam Thielen. So, yeah. Crazy and fun at the end of the day. Hawkinson, his best game in a while, and again, getting a touchdown. Both of Carson Wentz's throws were to tight ends. I apologize if I already mentioned that. The opening drive to Josh Oliver, a 12-yard play, and in the very late in the game to make it 48-3. Yeah, take the guys out, for crying out loud. 49. Well, it was the last catch of the game for Hawkinson for his first touchdown in forever. Don't think he even scored one last year, if I remember correctly, which is pretty ridiculous. Very disappointing, to say the least, overall. So, a fun, kind of a ho-humish type of game as things progressed. You're always like a little bit like, okay, this could be an interesting game, but Wentz is a legitimate quarterback in the league. Like, people talking about Carson Wentz sucks and he's nothing, and I feel sorry for the Vikings. I don't. I didn't feel sorry for the Vikings. First of all, he was coming in to be the backup anyway. And if you can get Carson Wentz as your backup quarterback, I think you're doing pretty well for yourself. Honest to God. The fact that he wasn't signed for as long as he was is kind of weird, other than maybe they just wanted to, other than maybe, like, he just wanted to, maybe just in case there's a small chance he could be a starter somewhere, maybe get something a little better, because the Vikings did contact him as far back as April. That was the conversation. So obviously Sam Howell, it's like, for the longest time I was hoping it would be a Carson Wentz, there'd be a, like a Ryan Tannehill, somebody like that who's got much more experience and actually has done something in the league. Where Sam Howell, yeah, he started a whole season or majority of a season for a really bad Washington Commanders team, and really was below average at best. He truly was. Like, it was like, oh man, he's not real good, is he? And he was a reasonably high draft pick, like middle to late rounds. Wow, Philadelphia won that game. They were getting beat pretty bad by the Rams, and they ended up winning. Impressive, man. Eagles look pretty good still, but so do the Rams. We'll talk about that later. But Carson Wentz is a solid, legitimate quarterback, I think, in this league. Again, can be a spot starter, might even be a starting quarterback for a team that's just kind of, like he could be like a Matt Castle, a bridge quarterback for a team with a young guy, which maybe could have been kind of like with Sam Darnold last year, where he was actually auditioning for like a real job, like a long-term stable job in the NFL as a starter, and he ended up getting that. So good for Sam Darnold. That's because he played super well. Carson Wentz, a bit older than Sam Darnold. Started out super great, kind of almost like opposite career in a lot of ways, where Darnold started out terribly, was taken super high in the draft. Of course, both of those guys were super high in the draft, started out terribly. He had like 2 or 3 interceptions a week pretty much with that awful New York Jets team. He threw 3 interceptions against the Vikings years ago in 2018. I think that was his rookie year. 3 interceptions against the Vikings, made it look easy. The Vikings finally won a game finally won a road game against the New York Jets. So that's the thing. Finally won a road game against the New York Jets for the first time in franchise history. Like, we'd never won against the Jets at home, ever. Pretty wild. No matter how bad the Jets were or how good the Vikings were, we'd always lose to the Jets. Usually it'd be just a frustrating, stupid game. And oftentimes it would be after a good season. It'd be the year after where things just aren't the same, and it's just a meh vibe at very best. So that was interesting how that all turned out. Whereas Carson Wentz started out like a world beater. Looked like he was going to be one of the next, 5 to 10 best quarterbacks in the league and be a Super Bowl champion, maybe a multiple Super Bowl champion. Then he has his ACL. He comes back still very good, but not as good. And then the next couple of years, things dropped off. And yeah, he became mostly a backup, then had a starting season with the Colts. I've talked about it 50 times already. It was great there, but since then he's pretty much been just he started a game or two a season for 6 teams in a row now, which is funny. And he had a nice performance today. So I have nothing against Carson Wentz, and well, this is the team he always rooted for growing up, so that's even more exciting at the end of the day for him, which I think gave him a better vibe coming to this team and ultimately winning a game in US Bank Stadium. Whereas, yes, Carson Wentz is old enough to have gone to games in the Metrodome. Metrodome isn't that old yet, but it's old enough. It's going back a while to 2012 and earlier. That was the last season in the Dome. So he saw Brett Favre as a Viking years ago, him being Carson Wentz. So nice, solid performance, and really appreciate what Mr. Wentz was able to accomplish in today's game. Ryan Wright, another not spectacular, respectable performance. No touchbacks, 2 in the 20. And again, Will Reichard's been fantastic, again, making all of his extra points. Thank you very much. And as long as he's healthy, he's been great. Stay healthy, Will. Remember last year he got hurt, like on the side or whatever. And, well, that's not a place the kicker wants to get hurt, because that can F up your range of motion. And if your range of motion is effed up when you're a kicker in the National Football League, good luck. But career long. What did he have? 59 last week, now 62 this week, and again, right before the half in both cases. Kind of funny. Those quick strikes before the half, in this case, because of another stupid turnover by the Cincinnati Bengals, who had 5, right? 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles. That is going to kill you. 2 interceptions, and 3 freaking fumbles for Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase, Noah Fant, and Perrine, who only had 4 rushes in the game. Bengals were playing from behind. Chase Brown, again, the rush defense for the Vikings today, insane. Chase Brown ran the ball 10 times, averaged .3. 3 yards. 3 yards. A long of 4. So, of course, multiple tackles for loss in today's game. Entertaining, to say the least, and it was great. Ivan Pace with 12 tackles. Great performance. Heck, he came from Cincinnati, didn't he? Cincinnati Bearcats. So, probably a little extra motivation there. He did come from the Bearcats, yep, and he's from Cincinnati too. So again, probably extra motivation there. Partially, like more and more family members and all that like the Bengals, that like the Bengals and the Bearcats and everything. Get to see him and against his team growing up, and yeah, kind of cool, and maybe pissed off at them for not trying to sign him or draft him a couple of years ago. So that might be part of it as well. Like, hey, why didn't you sign me in the first place? You could use my help. Damn it. 12 total tackles, 9 of them were solo. No sacks or anything, but a tackle for loss at the very least. Isaiah Rodgers bleeping amazing though. At the end of the day, Fran Tarkenton, Isaiah Rodgers, the Christian Ponder Memorial for this episode. Not really sure I'm going to pass out one of those. Not really. Dallas Turner only got a single tackle in the game, which is kind of sad, and it wasn't even a solo, it was an assist. So that's a little bit of a bummer. Hopefully he's okay. Drake Rodriguez had a tackle for loss and 4 total tackles. Really nice. That'd be the rookie Levi Drake Rodriguez, LDR. Rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? It does. Byron Murphy denying the ball pretty nicely. Only 3 tackles. That's great. And had a pass deflection. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Sorry, something got on my nerves for a second there. Thumping drives me nuts. Hargrave, believe he had what did he have, some kind of a chest injury? So that's a little bit disappointing. Hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully there aren't any more injuries that I missed in this one. But luckily, a lot of those starters out there came out of that game okay. And it's freaking important, to say the least. You don't want to hear about guys playing too long in a blowout game, and then they get hurt and they're out for 3 or 4 weeks, or they're out for the season. It's some terrible thing, some crazy injury. That just leaves you, absolutely feeling sad, feeling sick to your stomach a little bit. Breaks your heart when you hear about guys getting hurt, and their season's over and such. No matter what you feel about them, it could be somebody on the other team. You still feel bad for them, don't you? Come on now. At the end of the day. But Carson Wentz is back. No, Carson Wentz is playing again. Cam Akers is back. I keep saying it. I'm happy about that, okay? Sorry if that makes me kind of silly. But I think he's a way better running back than people give him credit. Cam Akers, I think, is a legitimate number 2 in this league. And would be a crazy give him the damn ball number 3. Like, he needs to, like, if he's number 3, he probably should have a higher rank, but at least it would be a very deep running back tandem if you have him as your third guy. And, well, maybe the Vikings will decide to do that at some point in the not-too-distant future. Sorry, at the end of the day. But great game, Jordan Mason. Again, 116 on the ground, 7.3 a carry, 2 touchdowns. Awesome stuff. So that should be your wrap-up. It's just not that long. No need to really go on and on and on about this one. Other than, well, some stupid penalties early on that could have made this game. It's like the Vikings should be blowing these guys out. Why are you having all these stupid penalties? One thing after another. Penalty for this, penalty for that. It was extremely frustrating, to say the least, with the penalties. The gosh darn stupid penalties in the game. Wish I could see the full statistics on that. They should be right in front of me, but I'm blanking. I'm blanking and I'm not seeing them, and that's driving me nuts. And I deeply apologize for that. They should be here. I apologize for that. Yeah, it would help to get in the team comparison department. That looks a little better. It's crazy. Only 183 yards passing for the Vikings. The Bengals only 118. Bengals actually did better in the completion attempt type of deal, but it took 27 attempts to get there. Oh yeah, Ripien also got in the game too for the Bengals. So Viking ties all over the place. Jake Browning was, yeah, but it's just that you didn't get to see him. He only handed the ball off a few times at Ripien. So there's that. Mark Ripien did get in the, did I say Mark? Brett Ripien. I keep saying Mark because I remember Mark so well. That's his dad. Won the Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins, and yes, they were called the Redskins back then, so get offended all you want, okay? Sorry. I'm not trying to be a jerk. 105 penalty yards for the Vikings, 13 total penalties, yeah. See, the Bengals used to be notorious for tons and tons of penalties, and sometimes they still are. It was kind of just a messed up, weird culture, going all the way back even to Lewis, who used to be the coach there. At times, it was just like, oh, man, come on, you know. It definitely got frustrating at times. It's the dumb-ass penalties, particularly defensive players. You just kind of, just ramming over the quarterback and such. Carson Wentz probably should have gotten a roughing the passer or helmet-to-helmet type of deal. That probably should have happened, but that penalty was never called at the end of the day. But, yes, 13 penalties for 105 yards. Very sloppy early on. And you're like, Vikings should be blowing these guys out. Why aren't they? And then, well, the penalties kind of semi-stopped. And the Vikings then officially blew out the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's pretty much all you need to know other than that. The stupid idiot penalties are like the Christian Ponder Memorial, generally speaking, at the end of the day for this one. But in a 48-10 win, I can't really nitpick too much other than that. Just generally speaking, the penalties not helping this team at all. With that, we'll take a quick break and come back and preview next week's game. And, of course, that'll be at the end of the second segment. But look around the league a bit first, including the NFC North especially. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Time to look around the league and preview the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we have played in England before. Vikings are 4-0 in England, looking it up as well. So it's kind of funny when you think about, yeah, now it's saying 4-0. It was saying 5-0 that the Vikings defeated the 49ers in 2025. No, we did not defeat the 49ers in 2025. No. So all the others I do remember fairly well, going back to the days of Matt Castle. That's when he replaced Christian Ponder. So it was actually against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 34-27 in Wembley Stadium, or at Wembley Stadium. October 29th, 2017, 33-16 win over the Cleveland Browns at Twickenham Stadium. That would, of course, be with Case Keenum at that point. So both kind of unique seasons. 2022, this was, of course, where Kevin O'Connell had first taken over the Minnesota Vikings. A 28-25 win at Tottenham Stadium. Tottenham? Yes. No, it was over the New Orleans Saints. I don't remember that one real well. It was a close game, 28-25, but we beat the Saints. Interesting. And then it says Hotspur Stadium? I don't get, why is there saying two of them? Okay, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Well, that's quite a sticky wicket with that name there. You got multiple names. It's bloody weird, but I suppose the Vikings did go back to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So I'm trying my best not to do an Aussie accent, because I tend to do Aussie more often because I have Aussie friends. Right now it's British, if humanly possible. Probably doing it wrong. 27-10, the Vikings put the New York Jets in a sticky wicket in a big way. A bloody tough situation, if you want to say it with more of a American vibe. But 27-10, Aaron Rodgers had a tough time. This time around, the Vikings will be playing Aaron Rodgers again with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we're not going there yet. So let's go back to Joey Wygen being American and talk about the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Bills. Excuse me, I'm back. Buffalo Bills hosted the Miami Dolphins. It was a pretty good football game on Thursday night, the 18th of September. But unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills would pull away. Unfortunately for the Dolphins anyway, 0-3. They've been snake bit so far. I feel bad. Like, people are going to get fired. You just know it. And it's a damn shame. I don't know. It's not like it's their fault. I don't think it's the coach's fault that the Dolphins are, in the sticky wicket that they're in. I really don't. Yes, I really don't. I just think, I don't know. I think it's poorly managed, unfortunately. The Miami Dolphins, that is. And I don't know. And there's a talented guy at quarterback, but he's not reliable like you'd like. I don't know. Some people thought he should retire right away after all those crazy concussions and all of that. But I've brought up the fact about him not being able to play in the cold about 1,000,000 times. What the heck is this? Yeah, Cowboys hosting the Packers. Is that next week? I do believe that's next week. It's just saying Sunday, so it must be next week. Right now, the Chefs are, oh great, a severe thunderstorm warning. That's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I do believe it's in Hennepin County. Oh, great. So I'm looking at a severe thunderstorm warning flashing on the screen right now in front of me. How quaint. Anyhow, the Chefs are getting beat by the Midgets. Well, actually, it's tied. The Chefs versus the Midgets right now, because the Midgets are 0-2 and the Chefs are 0-2. And I'm very happy that the Chefs are struggling. They're not exactly Wolfgang Puck right now. They're more likely a chef that's not really well thought of at an Applebee's locally somewhere. Like, this guy's not real good at his job. And I'm glad, because for the longest time, the Chefs were in the Wolfgang Puck territory. But then again, maybe they were just expensive. Anyhow, enough of that. Wolfgang Puck stuff is probably a bit overpriced for what it is. Sorry to say. But anyhow, 31-21. Why did I go down that rabbit hole? That was weird. No, please God, no. Yes, thank you for knocking that away. That would have gotten the Chefs going in the right direction pretty quickly. 31-21 as a severe thunderstorm is flashing on our screen. Hennepin County, terrific. But I do believe it's far north of, northern Hennepin County. But they're not really saying what type of storm it is. Is it wind? Is it hail? I don't know. Anyhow, I'm distracted by that really bad. Buffalo won the game. Yes, bottom line, they're just significantly the better team. Unfortunately, Tua had an okay game, but his usual grape jelly stain was on his jersey. Another interception, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about grape jelly stains. Another turnover, another mistake. Only 146 yards on 34 attempts, 22 completions. Quarterback passing yards are really down everywhere, aren't they? Except for like here and there, like somebody like Russell Wilson. Was it a week ago? Had like 450 yards or something. But it's like lately everybody's got like 200, 150. What's going on? Josh Allen only 213, but 3 touchdowns thrown. Extremely efficient. 22 of 28. No INTs whatsoever. And James Cook the third touchdown on almost 6 yards a carry. 108 total yardage on 19 carries. Tech Mobile football. When guys are getting through that way, you're just simply, if your defense is allowing running like that, it's not going to be a good day. But Miami also had a pretty effective day on the ground as well. But they were playing from behind most of the way, it seemed like. Devon Achane, but it wasn't by much. Devon Achane also averaged about 5 yards a carry, but only 12 rushes. Ollie Gordon, a little bit less, but he did get into the end zone. Okay, I've babbled enough. Let's keep going. Dolphins win by 10. I tend to go down these stupid rabbit holes and never stop. Well, the Daniel Jones success train continues. This train it's moving. It's a freight train. 41-20 over the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, the Titans suck, but still, you squashed a mosquito with an axe there. The Colts are 3-0. Pretty epic stuff. Now you can hear the lightning, but it is projected to miss us as I was looking at the radar. So it must be northern Hennepin County, but we're kind of like in the central. Anyhow, enough of that. Daniel Jones, only 1 touchdown and 228 yards. Noticing a trend? Like it's like barely over 200 yards. Cam Ward, he's the rookie of the year. He's the number 1 overall pick. Maybe he'll be the rookie of the year. Daniel Jones, 18 of 25. Cam Ward, 23 of 38. Ouch. So Daniel Jones' quarterback rating continues to be one of the best in the league at about 115-ish or so. Where Cam Ward down to 74.3, enough of the dyslexia there, and a grape jelly stain along the way, an interception. That's pretty much what happened. But Daniel Jones being very efficient. Now, again, the trend that I keep talking about, 219 yards by Cam Ward. Yeah, that's just what's been going on at the end of the day. Michael Pittman Jr., one of his good games there, 73 yards and a touchdown. But the real star of this one is Jonathan Taylor, 102 yards, 6 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. Awesome. Tony Pollard, who had a really nice renaissance last year coming from the Cowboys to the Titans, okay to below, just okay to average pretty much this year. Unfortunately, the Chefs got into field goal range, which pisses me off. Chip shot field goal. Let's just say I like Harrison Buckner. I don't like that he's on the Chiefs, but I like him. So we'll just leave that right where that needs to be. I threw that little nudge out there. Anyhow, yeah, let's move on to the next game. Daniel Jones, 3-0, is the Colts starting quarterback. Steelers are our opponent next week, so that will be left for last. Epic battle, Eagles and Rams. This has been a bit of a rivalry in the postseason of late. Rams were pretty much kicking the Eagles' ass in their stadium, and the Eagles won the football game, 33-26. The only score that matters is the final score. Philadelphia Eagles had scored 4 times after the Rams took a 26-7 lead. But it was, then again, it was pretty early in the second half, though, so it's not like, oh, God, this game's over. It's not like, early fourth quarter. That'd be quite a comeback to be able to come back from 19, but it can be done. It can absolutely be done. Pardon me for that nastiness there. But then after that, again, the Rams would build their big lead. Joshua Carty, that's the kicker for the Rams. I was thinking like Joshua Hardy. All you got to do is change the K to an H, and that'd be an old classmate of mine at Maranatha Christian Academy, Joshua Hardy. Isn't that the darndest thing? Every now and then you run into like little weird nuances like that in your life. Joshua Carty made 4 kicks. Or Joshua Hardy. I'm just kidding. Well, he missed 2, though. So that kind of sucks. 51-yard make. Jake Elliott only had to make 3 extra points, basically, and did not attempt a single field goal. The Eagles would come roaring back. 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdown passes by Jalen Hurts in that second half, making it 26-14, 26-21, and 27-26. So taking a 1-point lead with about a minute 51 left. And then one of those missed kicks was actually a block. Philadelphia, it doesn't say the player, but Philadelphia blocked a 44-yard field goal attempt by Joshua Carty. Jordan Davis did the scoop and score for 61 to wrap things up. Joshua Carty and the Rams were actually trying to win the game on a 44-yard attempt, and it was a block and scoop and score at the end of the day. So all he really had to do was probably fall on the ball, and then they just kneel and walk out of there. But unfortunately, it's like it is what it is, and might as well take your points. And that's what Jordan Davis did. Congratulations, and who wouldn't want to do that at the end of the day after a successful block? The Eagles did lead this game 7-0, by the way, just in case you're curious, midway through the first, and then it was a Joshua Carty show. But unfortunately, when you have to settle for field goals like 6 times, you're setting yourself up for something possibly not working out. Jalen Hurts, not Kurtz, notice a trend here. You're going to notice a trend here. It is amazing. 226 yards passing. Everybody's around 200-ish, aren't they? 3 touchdown passes, though. Great efficiency. Matthew Stafford, 196, right around 200 again. Again, did I mention it? Yeah, I think I did. 2 touchdowns and an interception. Wild stuff. Jalen Hurts. What's wrong with me? Jalen Hurts was sacked 4 times. Mr. What's his name? Matthew Stafford. I keep getting it mixed up with Sam Bradford. I've been doing it for about 10 freaking years now. I'm not even kidding. Because who was the quarterback years ago for the Rams? Sam Bradford. Well, he was sacked once. Only one time. And, Bradford's been hanging in there. And good for him. The Rams are an absolute threat to do a heck of a lot of things. But the Philadelphia Eagles cooled that down at least for a week. And Eagles continue to take care of business versus the Rams. Even though it was a very close, scary, dangerous type of game, they still got it done. Jets with a nice recovery from last week, getting absolutely stomped. Was it against the Bills? I think so. I think it was the Buffalo Bills that smoked that living poop out of them. Tyrod Taylor, the adult in the room there in New York, and I'm not kidding, did throw for 2 touchdowns, but a grape jelly stain, unfortunately, dropping his quarterback rating to 92, and he also fumbled the ball as well. Despite the fact his mobility got him 48 yards on the ground, which is pretty good. But it just wasn't meant to be. Breece Hall, below average at best. God, 21 yards and 9 carries. That sucks. Garrett Wilson, solid. 84 yards and 10 catches for a touchdown. He was targeted 13 times, but it is what it is. Oh, yeah, by the way, do you want to notice a certain trend here that just continues to happen and happen? Is somebody trying to tell us something? 197 yards. What is this 200-yard nonsense? Baker Mayfield, whoa, outdid himself, 233 yards. And how many times did he throw for 300 last year? 233. It's just over and over and over, isn't it? You're not seeing anybody dominating, really. Or they'll have efficient numbers, but only, 200 yards. Over and over and over and over and over and over. One touchdown by Baker Mayfield. He also did run for 44, including a 33-yard scamper. Nice job at the end of the day. Chase McLaughlin, I might have wanted to have him in my roster. I actually cut him for, who did I sign? Oh, Prater. But how many points did Buffalo score? 31? I don't think Prater had 17 points like McLaughlin. So I look like an idiot again. Prater had 7. That's a big difference in fantasy football. That's a 10-point difference. Ouch. The Jets lose by only 2, but they lost. They're 0-3. And the Schmucks are 2-0. No, they're 3-0. I can't believe it. The Schmucks are 3-0. Winning games against meh teams, basically. But, a win is a win. Chefs lead the Midgets 9-6. Okay, the Chiefs lead the Giants. Yes, sorry for being annoying. The Washington, this was a Super Bowl in the early 80s, if I remember correctly. The early half of the 80s, about 40 years ago. The Washington Commanders defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. Back then it was the Washington Redskins versus the Los Angeles Raiders. Yes, the Raiders did play in Los Angeles for an extended period. They left Oakland in the early 80s and then returned to Oakland in the mid-90s. Fun stuff. There's your little miniature history lesson for those of you that may not have known that already. A lot of veteran listeners absolutely knew that. Yes, and the Los Angeles Raiders actually won one of those Super Bowls. I think they did beat the Washington Redskins, if I remember correctly. But right now it's the Commanders of Washington versus the Raiders of Las Vegas. Yeah, who'd have thunk they'd be Las Vegas all those years ago? Thought Oakland, man, they're going to hang on to that team forever. Or L.A. L.A. doesn't lose teams. L.A. takes teams from other places. Oh, they usually do, but once in a blue moon, they'll actually lose somebody. 41-24, the Commanders rebounding after a disappointing week last week, even with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, because Mr. Jane Daniels is out, and Geno Smith still at quarterback. Epic performance, but they still got beat. Geno Smith, great game. Finally, somebody getting to almost 300 yards. So there's your first quarterback in today's show getting over, well over 200, like well over, not just hanging around. 283, 3 touchdown passes, and the Raiders still got smoked. Pretty wild. Yeah, he didn't throw an interception or anything. Marcus Mariota, what the heck? 200 yards for Marcus Mariota. That's like a relic from about 10 years ago. A lot of us thought he was going to be a stud, and he's a nice backup. 21 attempts, 15 completions, 200. There you go. And 7 yards, a touchdown, but did not have a grape jelly stain. Oh, wait, yes, he did. He fumbled the ball at one point in the game. Washington, wild game, actually, all over the place. There was a return punt, so that's a special teams touchdown. That's one of the reasons why the score was so high. Jeremy Nichols, 78 yards on only 4 rushes because one of them was a 60-yard scamper to pay dirt. Wild. 56-yard field goal by Matt Gay. Weird game. Weird game. I don't know. Washington just beat the crap out of them. I think they beat the Raiders. I don't know. Because I know Washington won the 83 Super Bowl, and I think the Raiders won the 82 Super Bowl. So I might dig that up just for curiosity's sake one of these days. I don't know. Because I do know this is at least one Super Bowl years ago, and man, it's just seeing these two teams play each other. It just feels like the old days, doesn't it? Like the early '80s, late '70s, around there. That's pretty much when these two teams were absolutely, in their absolute positive heyday. Absolutely heyday, like for these two clubs. Yes, the Redskins did win the 91 Super Bowl, but that was not their heyday. It just wasn't. 80, well, it kind of was. I suppose they won in 87 also. Bastards. Denied the Vikings both times, right? For like joining the Twins or winning a championship in 87 and 91. But let's keep going. Adam Thielen's former club won their first game of the season after being beat 30-0 over the Atlanta Falcons. What happened here? What happened? This is the same Falcons team that made the Vikings look like idiots last week. The Carolina Panthers beat the Atlanta Falcons 32-0. What? And Bryce Young threw for 121 yards. That's it on 24 attempts. That's like nothing. That's like playing flag football or something. I don't know. Like Bryce Young, what the heck? 78.6 quarterback rating. What a weird freaking game. Like what a weird game. Probably another deal with special teams and such. Yep, a check. Pick 6. Penix was terrible. He was benched in the game. He was terrible, as Charles Barkley might say. Man, that's a bad place to throw an interception. Like you're deep in your own territory and you throw a pick 6. Chow Smith Wade, or CSW, I guess. That sounds kind of cool, actually. Intercepted Michael Penix Jr. for an 11-yard touchdown. Yeah. Ryan Fitzgerald rolls right off your tongue as well. That just sounds classy. 17-zip Carolina at that point. And I can imagine the shell-shocked Falcons like, what the heck is happening? We're getting absolutely steamrolled by the Carolina Panthers. What's going on? That's so weird. Fitzgerald would add a 35-yarder. Rico Dawdle was not dawdling too much, but, well, maybe a little. He was able to power in for a 1-yard goal line smash, and Fitzy added another 41-yarder. Mostly close kicks except for the 157-yarder to make it 10-0. But the Falcons were absolutely clipped in this game, for lack of better words. Michael Penix Jr., who looked pretty average against the Vikings last week. 36 attempts. He was 50% in the game with 2 interceptions. 18 of 36. Absolutely pathetic. 50% in the NFL nowadays is like, yeah, you need to take a seat. We're going to put the much more expensive guy in there who was the backup for some reason. He might end up being the starter next week. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Penix, I don't know. He's not that good. He's really not that good. I don't think he's going to be a star in this league. But then again, who am I to say? I was bragging about McCarthy being a spectacular player. It's going to take time. So maybe it's the same with Penix, even though he was a much older rookie going into that draft. That's where the Kirk Cousins, that's where drafting him right after signing Kirk Cousins, like the same month practically, made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It made absolutely no sense. He was like the oldest quarterback in the draft. What are we doing here, guys? It's one thing if you take, McCarthy, who was one of the younger quarterbacks in the draft. Anyhow, and he beat Penix in the championship game, by the way. Nudge, nudge. Cousins was 5 of 7 for 29 yards. Wahoo. That was basically like garbage time already. Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the league. Well, 5.5 a carry and all that. That's nice numbers, but they were behind the whole frickin' game. Okay, I dragged this out too long. It's just I'm stunned a bit. But that last week's team that just, made us look like idiots got made look like idiots today. So the other side of that same expansion draft, the Carolina Panthers counterparts, the Jacksonville Jaguars also won today. So that's kind of interesting. The 1995 expansion draft class. Was it 95? I think it was. Yeah, 95 expansion draft class. Crazy that Carolina went to the conference championship the next year. That is bizarre. Yeah, they knocked out the Cowboys and went to the conference final. God, that's weird. Isn't that weird? And the Jaguars made the playoffs, didn't they? Yeah, they knocked out the Broncos. That is freaking weird. They knocked out the Broncos, didn't they? And then they got crushed by the Patriots. Yep, the Patriots with Drew Bledsoe, by the way. Not the team that won Super Bowls, the team before they started winning Super Bowls. 17-10 over the Houston Texans, who are 0-3. What's up with that? Jaguars won 17-10 and beat the sorry, I'm swearing here. Trevor Lawrence completed 50% of his passes, threw an interception, and had 222 yards. So right around that 200 range. C.J. Stroud, are we going to continue the trend? Yes, we are. 204 yards. What the hell's going on? And I guess it's Travis Etienne Jr. At least that's a guy at Works pronounces his name because it's spelled exactly the same. Etienne! Yeah, Travis Etienne Jr. It looks like Etienne to me, but what do I know? Travis Etienne. Both of these epic quarterbacks, I guess you could say, had a terrible game. Like Stroud, 2 interceptions. Lawrence, quarterback rating of 56.5, and they beat A pretty good Houston defense. And yes, Jacksonville's defense is pretty good. Traditionally, they have been over the years. But, ugly football game. Jacksonville's 2-1 somehow. And the Texans, who everybody saw as a team that could be a threat in the postseason at some point here. Doesn't look good. Really doesn't. Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. Didn't these two teams have like some epic battle like 40 years ago? It was like one of the great comebacks or something. It was one of those historic games, like yards up the ass. Like, what was his name? Dan Fouts or something at quarterback, like way back in the day. Against, like Ken Norton or something. There was a quarterback named Ken Norton way back in the day. I could be getting him mixed up with a different team, but whatever. 3-0 Los Angeles Chargers. Denver Broncos dropped down to 1-2 on the season. What's up with that? Chargers, favorites to win the division. Come on, Giants, beat the Chiefs, please. Please beat the Chiefs tonight. That would be quite an accomplishment if the Giants beat them, but man, it'd be awesome. I hate the Chiefs. Ugh, God help me. 153 yards for Bo Nix. Nothing really to write home about here. Touchdown thrown, yay. No interception and no fumble. Justin Herbert, 300 yards. He's been putting up numbers, but only one touchdown and one interception, so that kind of stinks. 76.6. Somebody named Amarian Hampton. I don't know, he must own a really fancy hotel here or live in a very fancy part of New York. I don't know what I'm talking about. Got in the end zone, 70 yards on the ground, but nothing too exciting there. Broncos lose and again drop down to 1-2. The Chargers 3-0 and off to a wonderful start, despite having these. Justin Herbert's been pretty darn good for the most part, and it's about time because he's been pretty mediocre the last couple of years. The Saints are looking more and more like the team a lot of people thought was the worst team in the league. Seattle just absolutely, took it to them. 44-13. 44-13. Pretty rough. Kind of like the Vikings and the Seahawks years ago in 2002 when Culpepper was a turnover machine. Ready for another anomaly? Ready for another trend here? Are you ready? Sam Darnold, 218 yards. Spencer Rattler, 218 yards. Need I say more? I mean, what more is there to say here? 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for Sam Darnold. Basically, perfect quarterback rating here, just under it, 154.2, because he only attempted 18 passes and completed 14 of them. Great game by Sam Darnold. Congratulations, Sammy, earning that money there. Spencer Rattler playing like about a number 2 quarterback, not like a starter. 39 attempts, 28 completions, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a quarterback rating of 83.1. Very average at best. Seahawks absolutely annihilate the Saints, who never got to Darnold once. And Darnold is the guy that hangs onto the ball too long, and he still was not sacked once, even though they have Cameron Jordan over there in New Orleans. But I got to think he's getting up there in years now. So it is what it is. Cooper Kupp's on Seattle. He did not get a touchdown, but Jackson Smith something, Njigba, got a touchdown, and Torrey Horton rolls right off your tongue. Touchdown there. Kenneth Walker III in the end zone twice, despite it being a 2 yards in a cloud of dust type of day for him. Congratulations to any fantasy holder there. Like, man, this guy's not doing anything, but he got in the end zone twice, though. That's awesome. Anyhow, going to hold off on the Bears. They're NFC North. The Lions are tomorrow. And we'll talk about the Packers, too, later. Yeah, anyhow. The Niners winning an ugly, ugly game against the Arizona Cardinals, and they're 3-0. Congratulations, Niners. Winning games that, just winning games, basically. That's pretty much the bottom line, winning football games. Like, that's what you're there to do. Kyler Murray and Mac Jones both played like backup quarterbacks, really. 83.8 on Mac Jones' side with an interception and a touchdown. 82.9 Kyler Murray. Just average. Like a nice, expensive, occasionally exciting backup quarterback. That's what Kyler Murray is to me. 159 yards in the air. That's it on 35 attempts. I mean, I don't know. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, can we do something else? This is just like we've seen enough. He's the backup or whatever, But they just sign him to like $1 billion. Gosh. Anyhow, Mac Jones, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 49ers winning, just simply winning games. with the quarterback out. So maybe they will. Maybe they will overcome and have that great record and have some home field advantage once the postseason starts, and maybe they will end up winning the Super Bowl, despite looking pretty average at best, even in games where Purdy was healthy. But, okay, well, let's get to the Bears. Interesting story here. Well, at least for the most part. Well, the Bears won their first game of the season, and they pretty much smashed the Dallas Cowboys into the ground here, 31-14. It's in Soldier Field and everything, but still, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's impressive. Did the Cowboys ever lead in this game? No. Bears just pretty much kicked their butts. Good job, guys. Is it raining out there? It probably is. Damn it. Or am I just listening to wind? I hate rain. Caleb Williams had the time of his life. He was singing that song, and now the 200-yard thing is a little bit gone here. 300, basically 300 yards for Caleb Williams, 4 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 142.6. Dak Prescott, about what you expect here, despite the paycheck. 251, 40 attempts. He always has like 40 attempts and multiple interceptions. 2 of them there. 80.3. Not just overrated. Sorry, Dak Prescott's overrated, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face, because as a certain individual who's been in the news a lot lately, prove me wrong. Yeah, as he might have said, God rest his soul. Prove me wrong on Dak Prescott being overrated. Prove me wrong. 4 touchdowns, Caleb Williams. Well, he wasn't overrated in this game. They absolutely stomp on the Dallas Cowboys. The Bears get their first win of the year in quite impressive fashion, and, well, good luck to them. More power to them. The defense was pretty good. That was annoying against the Vikings as well. Cowboys pass rush couldn't do it. Diddly, dookie, whatever. They couldn't do anything, bottom line. Caleb Williams had 12 yards rushing. Nothing too impressive, but, oh well, probably got a first down or 2 along the way. The running game didn't work at all, frankly. At all. Like, they all were averaging about 2.5 yards a carry, them being the Bears. Javonte Williams, 7.6, but they were playing from behind the whole time. That was on the Cowboys. And he also lost a fumble. So 3 costly turnovers for the Cowboys, including a pick 6 on the 2-yard line. That's cute. Nope. I'm stupid. Sorry, that was when the Cowboys actually tied the game up. Sorry. 14-14. So the game was tied about midway through the second quarter, and then things just started. The Bears started roaring after that, and Cowboys never scored another point. Packers versus Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Let's see. The favorites to win the Super Bowl. Jordan Love is going to be the MVP. If not, the other guy being the Defensive Player of the Year and the MVP. That guy, then Micah Parsons. Let's see. He recorded 2 tackles and no sacks. Oh, that sucks. Doggone it. Rashawn Gary sounds like a former running back of the Denver Broncos years ago. 2 sacks for the Packers. So at least one guy got sacks, and it was 2 of them for him. On the other side, well, yeah, Malik Collins 1.5. This is the Browns, of course. Alex Wright 1. Mason Graham 0.5. Carson Schwessinger. Yep, sounds like he could make some really good brats. Okay, I know, I'm sorry. Well, it does. But Myles Garrett got a 0.5 sack. You'd think he would have more, but he was a factor stopping the run and making the Packers, struggle in this game, to say the least. Josh Jacobs managed 1.9 a carry. That is all, folks. Didn't work out. Plain and simple. Joe Flacco, 1 interception, and that's about it. Quarterback rating of 55.6. Were you expecting any type of fun numbers here? Because, well, that would have been stupid in a 13-10 game. The what are they called? The Cleveland Browns stymied the Packers offense beautifully and did just enough to beat the Green Bay Packers. Actually, kind of cool looking uniforms they were wearing there. Jordan Love did throw a costly interception. Well, not costly, but an early interception. And Joe Flacco is 41 years old, I do believe. Not too much younger than me. 5 years younger than I am, and he's starting quarterback of the Browns. That's just weird. God bless him. A couple of years ago he was wonderful for the Browns, so I can understand why they'd still like him. But he's 41. He has no business starting games at his age, man. He's not Tom Brady, but the Browns hung in there long enough. were able to get within field goal range, and Andre Smythe was able to hit a 55-yarder and beat the Green Bay Packers and send them to their first loss of the season. Road games are tough. Funny things happen. And once in a while, momentum is on the other team's side. And ultimately, it was on the Cleveland Browns side, which makes you feel so wonderful to see the Packers lose this football game. That was wonderful. So, awesome for Viking fans there. Now let's get into the preview of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wahoo, wahoo. Vikings again 4-0 in England. Hope to go to 5-0, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Mr. Aaron Rodgers now is fourth all time in touchdowns, throwing 2 for the Steelers today, only 139 yards in the air. Drake May 268, but the Steelers beat the Patriots in a rematch of one of those AFC Championship game in 2001 or January 22 or whatever, or 2002, pardon me, all those years ago when the Patriots defense stymied Cordell Stewart, who was kind of mediocre to begin with. Man, yeah, it's getting ugly out there a little bit. Mostly lightning and rain, though, and wind. 2 touchdowns and an interception for both Drake May and Aaron Rodgers. May was actually a little better, generally speaking. He did lose a fumble and an interception. Antonio Gibson also lost a fumble. And Ramondre Stevenson lost 2 fumbles. What's wrong with him? Jeez, man. Hang on to the bleeping ball, Adrian Peterson. So the only fumble, or the only turnover in the game was an Aaron Rodgers interception. And the Steelers end up beating the New England Patriots 21-14. They look okay. I mean, the Steelers look like an okay team, but if the Vikings show up to play, why shouldn't the Vikings be able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? Why shouldn't they? As long as guys are healthy and able to play. That's the thing. Like, we have our left tackle. Funny how good Carson Wentz looked when this Christian Darrisaw, this number 71, was lined up on the left side the whole game. I mean, it makes a difference, you know? It makes a difference when you have an all-pro left tackle in there versus a number 2 or number 3 left tackle. And, you know, God bless him, but your quarterback is, like, playing his second game of his life in the NFL anyway, after being, you know, after being able to do basically nothing the whole year last year. That did not help. Man, the frickin' Chefs are up 16-6. Gosh dang it, son of a biscuit. I hate it. Come on, Yankees. No, come on, Giants. Crush them, dang it. Go, Giants, go. Dang it. Excuse me, anyhow. But it's funny, though. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. With Carson Wentz having, you know, the experience he has, and, well, the fact that you have a healthy Christian Darrisaw in there makes a big difference. Fries was pretty mediocre today. Didn't he have like a real dumb, like lame penalty, like illegal hands to the face? It was just lame too. It was like unnecessary. Will Fries, like one of the, you know, like one of the absolute prize signings in the offseason for the Minnesota Vikings. It's like, wow, we got Will Fries. He hasn't been that good, has he? And Kelly was out today, but Juergens has been a nice story. It's been a very nice story. I think a lot of people liked what he could do. What was he in, like his first game last week? And then this next week, he looked pretty confident out there. I guess the crappy Cincinnati defense, but still, Steelers defense is a little better. But it ain't quite the steel curtain that it used to be. They do still have T.J. Watt, though, and that's the big threat. 2 sacks today against the New England Patriots. 2 sacks by T.J. Watt, 1 by Herbig. Derek Harmon added a sack, so there's a pass rush in Pittsburgh. What do they have, 5 sacks? 2 of them by T.J. Watt, who definitely has been a hell of a player for quite a while, actually. T.J. Watt, 1.5 sacks. 11.5 sacks last year. Wisconsin. Pewaukee instead of Milwaukee, but Pewaukee. He's had a hell of a career. How old is he now? 31? Or he will be 31 on October 11th anyway. First round pick by the Steelers in 2017. He's been there ever since. I think he's a lot younger than the other guy, J.J. Watt. Yeah, he had 22 sacks, 22 and a half sacks. That's right, for the Steelers. He's been a Hall of Famer, basically. 108 so far in his career, not counting the 2 sacks today. So that's 110 now for T.J. Watt. He is a future Hall of Famer. Yep. I mean, there's no doubt. Look at these numbers. 13 in 2018, 14 and a half in 2019, 15 in 2020, 22.5 in 2021, 5.5 in 22. He missed 7 games that year. It is what it is. 23, 19 sacks. Jiminy cricket. 11.5 last year was actually a pretty big drop off, but still, I mean, you know, he's not that old. He's 31. I mean, he's 30 actually. He was 30 when it happened. So I don't know. I hate rain. I thought this crap was gonna miss us. Bullshit. Radar lied. The radar lied. You know that? Don't you just hate when radar lies? It's like, oh, it's gonna miss us. It's going north. And probably the piece of crap probably expanded. You know how storms do that because it's always freaking humid out. There's always moisture, and the damn thing expands. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah, you suck. The radar is stupid. We actually didn't get the heavy part, though. Oh, we're going to get more later, looks like. Oh, that's even better. I'm distracted by weather now. Check out Joey's Weather Spy on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram if you like. Joey's Weather Spy. Yeah, might as well say that because I am a weather nerd. That's why you're hearing me giving you some weather conversation here today. Yes, it's storming out and it's annoying because I'm sick of rain this year. Raise your hand if you're sick of rain. Anyone? Hey, put your hand up. Stop lying. You're sick of it too. Stop it. Steelers 2-1 on the season. And we're happy for him. Rodgers, of course, having a nice season, to be quite fair. I'd have to say at least he had a nice start in the first game, mediocre the second game. And, you know, in 2024, as meh as Rodgers was, he still threw 28 touchdown passes. His quarterback rating was still 90. I get it. That's not a Pro Bowl quarterback, really. 28 and 11, though, it's nothing to really, like, sneeze at, though, either. It's okay for a guy that's 40 freaking years old and was on a team that was just toxic. 28 and 11 is not too bad. Today was game number 3, and he threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, so he's at 7-3 on the year. Only a few yards, though, not that many. He's at like 600 and something. 630 yards, I suppose, on the season. So they're not spectacular numbers or anything, but still, it's pretty good. Still, he's sharper than last year. He's probably going to get into the 30s for touchdowns, 33 touchdowns, maybe like 10, 11, 12 interceptions, something like that. It's not bad. It's not bad. And if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers team that's well coached, has good players all over on both sides of the ball, I don't know. I mean, that's why the Steelers, I mean, they don't have Drake May on the sidelines there. They don't have Drake May. They have question mark. They gave up on Justin Fields right away. He went over to the Jets. It's funny how those two guys basically traded places. So that's kind of how that goes. Jaylen Warren has had some moments. Didn't fare all too great today. And he's just Steelers, their running game isn't all that spectacular. Warren has never gotten over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season. He's on my fantasy team too, and he's like my 4th running back. He's really nothing to get too excited about there in Pittsburgh. It's an interesting team. Kenneth Gainwell is trying to gain well. Shorter guy, got some bulk to him, about 5'9", 200 pounds. I don't know. They're like the Vikings should be fine against this team. I think. I mean, I don't know. Oh, DK Metcalf is there now, the former Seahawk, but I suppose he was probably there with what's his face. The guy who's quarterback of the Giants right now, Russell Wilson, yeah, the Seattle teammates there. DK Metcalf, I almost forgot about him. I don't know. This team doesn't impress me that much other than like TJ Watt. That's their best player. He's a future Hall of Famer. And Rodgers is, of course, a future Hall of Famer if you didn't notice. Unless he commits a terrible crime or something, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. I hope he doesn't commit a crime, Just don't, okay? Don't be committing crimes and winding up in jail or something crazy like that. Aaron Rodgers should make the Hall of Fame in seconds. Like, he should get a unanimous vote, honestly, on the first ballot. He should. Love him or hate him, he should be in a unanimous vote. It's just common sense. Jabril Peppers? Nah, he's not as good as I thought. Yeah, he's good, though. No, he has his moments. He's a safety. He's not like really that's what he is. He's a decent safety and such, but he's had some decent numbers. He's been hurt. He's all right. I'm getting him mixed up with Julius Peppers because I'm just losing my mind here. Enough about the Steelers. I think the Vikings can beat this team. Obviously, there's a pass rush with T.J. Watt, but thankfully you do have your star left tackle. T.J. Watt, I mean, quarterbacks get sacked. Carson Wentz got sacked like 3 or 4 times today, didn't he? He took a number of sacks, and the Vikings destroyed the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, sacks don't mean you're going to get beat necessarily. They can if it's a close game and you're behind by, whatever, 3.7 points or something really late in the game, then yes, sacks can, put an end to your hopes. But they still also happen when you're leading by 30. It still does happen, or 14 or 20 or 21 or something. So I don't think the Steelers are going to beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings win the game. It'll probably be it's going to be a hell of a lot closer than today's game, let me tell you. You're going up against a real quarterback again. With all due respect to Jake Browning, I mean, he's a number 2 or number 3 quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, again, like I'll keep saying, love him or hate him, he's still a starter in this league. He's not some wannabe backup quarterback. He's a starter in this league. He's still putting up starter-type numbers. So he's a professional. He knows all the tricks, man. I mean, I still got a kick out of him. Like, I started liking and appreciating Aaron Rodgers when he made the Cowboys look like complete idiots with the way he would call plays and stuff. And then it was in a playoff game, Packers versus Cowboys, and the Cowboys were all cocky, thinking they're going to crush the Packers. And Rodgers kept drawing them off sides, and he had this big smile on his face. He was laughing he was laughing. And the Cowboys were making idiots of themselves. The fans were booing the shit out of them, pardon my French. And it was fun. It was fun to watch. It's like, I'm sorry, it was. The Cowboys were so cocky that they're going to kick the Packers into the next county, and they lost. They got beat pretty bad in that game. It was so funny. It was a number of years ago. Dak Prescott was thought of as like the next big thing at the time, kind of like people still act like it, but he's capable of nice numbers here and there, but he's not consistent enough to be, he's not consistent enough to be making the money he's making. Just put it that way. Rodgers and the Steelers are going to be a threat, but the Vikings will survive. A final score, I do believe that Carson Wentz and the Minnesota Vikings are going to win the football game 28-24. It'll be kind of a close one, but I think the Vikings succeed. The Steelers will actually probably be threatening late, but the Vikings will get the stops. It'll be kind of like that, where I think the Vikings will lead most of the game. Maybe Minnesota ends up winning more like 31-21. I'd like to go with that score. I'm going to go with 28-21. Vikings win by a full touchdown. Not 4 points, a full touchdown. Vikings win. It's going to be like 2 touchdowns again by Mr. Carson Wentz. It'll be something along those lines. Maybe he'll throw his first interception. Doggone it. Probably get some, he'll face a better pass rush than what the Bengals did today. But I mean, again, the Bengals did get sacks on Carson Wentz today, so it still happens. But the Vikings won by 38 points in the game, and it was 38 only because of a late touchdown by the Bengals to make the score somewhat cuter. See, how many sacks did the Bengals have? 1.5 by Chris Jenkins Jr. They had 4. Yeah, they had 4. 2.5, 3. Yeah, or did they have 3? Maybe it's just 3. I can't add for my life sometimes. You see this 0.5 crap, but that's how it goes. Come on, just show the stinking numbers, please. Yes, 3 times. Still, 3 sacks is 3 sacks. It's better than like 1 or 2 or 0. So Steelers will probably get something along the lines of 3 or 4. I'm sure T.J. Watt will get at least one of them. Future Hall of Famer, by the way, if I hadn't said that 6 times. I think Mason gets in the end zone again, but more like 80 yards. Something like that. Like 80 yards. Gets in the end zone once. Wentz throws Wentz will be the first quarterback for the Vikings this year to throw over 200 yards. So Carson Wentz will throw for 200-plus yards. Is that going out on a limb? Nah, I don't think so. 31-21, the Vikings win the football game. I do believe the Vikings pass rush does get to Rodgers enough that he will throw at least a single interception, maybe cough up the ball as well. I think the Vikings force the Steelers into 2 turnovers at least. It will be multiple turnovers, at least 1 interception and 1 fumble. So I'll just leave it at that. Kind of a safe pick there. I'm not expecting Isaiah Rodgers to get to force 3 turnovers in one game and score twice. I mean, that's pretty remarkable for a defensive player to be able to pull that off. I mean, he's the Fran Tarkenton of Fran Tarkentons, at least so far. He's the MVP of the Vikings so far, just for this one game. He's the season MVP just for this one game. I'm not even kidding. But in all reality, though, the real MVP of the Vikings probably right now, if I were to say, most people are going to say Justin Jefferson. I think it's Christian Darrisaw at the moment, because look at the difference. I mean, what more is there to say? I think it's Christian Darrisaw at the moment, but we'll see. With that said, that's the Vikings story. Vikings win by 10 next week. I've dragged this on way too long. My apologies. And we are back here on Purple Mafia segment number 3, fan interaction segment. Looks a little on the sparse side, but been posting the videos. Looks like people are liking the videos a bit, so that's kind of encouraging. So we're going to save Twitter for last. We're going to move Twitter to last from now on, because that one seems to have the most interactions, at least from what I can tell. Last week actually was pretty active, though, in the whole overall game thread, which I really appreciated by guys like Mike Dale and such. Dale wasn't there today, unfortunately, so that's unfortunate. I miss him. So just throw this out there to Mike Dale, how he would often have those awesome post game, like you could say, like an article, like a column. From now on, when I post the thread, it's in game and post game. It's all just one thread from now on. Like, I figured just have it all in one. So if you want to have post game thoughts, just post them in that same single thread. I figured just have it all in one thread. I hope that's not confusing and annoying anybody. So, Mike, if and when you have time to write those, they're a wonderful part of the show. I love them. And, of course, Mark Carlson's going to be a big contributor today, which I really appreciate. Also getting a comment, at least 1 or 2 comments on YouTube, which is wonderful as well. So, I made the executive decision last week to nix the halftime immediate reaction, at least for now. Let the page grow a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy posting videos for 10 people to watch them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's going on. And half of the time, 8 of those 10 people maybe clicked on it and then clicked away. They're like, oh, I don't want to see him. Whoever that is, that's kind of what that is usually. Anyhow, Vikings versus Pelicans post game. Mark Carlson did comment there. It was a bit after, but it's a nice post here, so we're going to read it now. Mark says, "What was that? Maybe I should be preparing for more games like that, because I will need to talk to my doctor and get more medicine. I do realize that the quarterback is a rookie or something like a rookie, but not the whole team." Okay. Thanks for your work, Joey Owijan. If this is any indication of how the season will go, you have your work cut out for you. Note on YouTube, don't give up on producing great media. Thank you for that. Do it anywhere. Do it everywhere. By the way, I love listening to Freedom of Thought. And yes, thank you so much for that. Also, your audio has been very good. It's been a long time since I recall an episode that had listened to an episode of Purple Mafia that had any audio issues. So, thank you. Yeah, because I was always afraid that my audio was kind of meh, you know what I mean, compared to other shows. Some people, maybe that's a little bit fancier sounding. Let's just, both me and Mark know who Bob Bierman is, Truth to Ponder. He'll listen to podcasts from people and be like, their audio sucks. Yep, it's a great show, Truth to Ponder, but he is he's a radio engineer. Basically, historically, he's like a genius of audio. So, basically, any type of audio that isn't radio level, he pretty much thinks is not up to par. So that's kind of a bummer. Though I suppose, I don't think he'd complain about the audio on this show. But anyhow, I'm going way off here. Anyhow, Mark says, like a long time. So relax, get comfortable behind the mic. We hear you and it's sounding great. I would like to give a shout out to someone and encourage them to get on board regularly. Hey, Jay Mason, Chase Carlson, don't forget to download and listen each week. Thanks, Joey, and thank you, Mark. That is awesome. Everything you said there meant a lot, and I'm dead serious. And I hope, Jay, you are listening. And hello to you, just in case you are. And I hope you do like this show. Yes, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. That was the post game there. And Mark, this was after the actual regular podcast came out. He's just looking forward to the show. What a dreadful game last night. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's Mike Dale. Yep, so we're talking about this was a post I put up there. I didn't realize there were comments here, so that's cool. That's really cool. It was a few days ago, apparently 3 days ago already. It was a post that I saw on Facebook that I couldn't resist to save it and push it onto this page. The life of Vikings fan. Get your hopes up, get let down. Start to believe again. Get your hopes up, get let down. Start to believe again. It's like a circle that just keeps going. And we got some comments here. Mike Dale says, rinse, repeat, and then like a disappointed face, like eyes closed. Mike Dale is from the state of New York, not the city. Mark Carlson is from Iowa, by the way. Mark says, just look back, season after season, especially the 2024 season. Then after all that winning, there's no playoff run. Repeat. Yeah, we didn't even get out of the first round. And even Detroit didn't win a single playoff game with a 15-2 record. Right? Was that the record? 15-2. That is a sick record. Or is it 16-1? 15-2, I believe. Absolutely sick record. And they didn't even win a single playoff game. It's insane. Mark says, is it the quarterback? Is it the coaches? Is it defensive? Is it the defensive line? The offensive line? Yes, no to all the above. Because it sure isn't the fans. We have had star players, all kinds of them. Adrian Peterson, Randy Moss, Brett Favre. Shoot. We had the wall of Williams and Jared Allen. Yep. The wall of Williams and Jared Allen. Sorry, yeah. It was Kevin and Pat Williams. Yep. I know I'm going long here. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. But hang with me a minute. Let me say that if we have a player who is out with an injury, it's next man up. Yeah, like I wish the offensive line was better that way. Whatever happened to the Chris Lewinsky's of the world? Like, wasn't that guy good? He was awesome. Like Everett Lindsay. Remember those guys? They would be like reliable backup linemen that were awesome. They were basically like starter good, weren't they? Like you didn't really, it wasn't like the end of the world. Like Chris Lewinsky was awesome, and he wasn't even like a starting tackle originally until unfortunately a guy named Corey Stringer died. Yep. And he was the next man up, and he was really good, actually. Anyhow, the next man needs to show up and dominate, or at least be respectable, yeah, at very least. But, man, it was bad. A team that wins is a team that finds a way to win no matter what. And maybe, kind of like the 49ers this year so far, and maybe it's about money, maybe. But New England found great players that were nobodies. Yeah, that's true. They found a way to win. Who the hell was Tom Brady? Yeah, he was a really late pick. Yep. Thanks, Joey, for giving me a space to talk, a place to vent a bit, and a love to listen. And a love to listen to others who do the same. A love, yep. Skol. And Mark, the floor is yours anytime, as long as you want, forever, and ever, and ever, and ever, and ever, and ever. Because I don't anticipating retiring from this show. Is the longest standing podcast in Minnesota. And once you have that, you don't really want to lose it. It's so cool. Could you imagine stepping away? It'd be so painful. It would hurt at this point. Yeah, boy, anyhow. It's pretty wild. So I really appreciate Mark, and I really do. So Instagram, there's nothing. At Purple Mafia Show for Instagram, Facebook, there's the link in there. Otherwise, look up Purple Mafia Show, Minnesota Vikings Show. You should be able to find it on Facebook if you want to join the page, and it'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, the X or Twitter is at Purple Mafia Show. That's where we're going now, to hear from Mad Martin, a man who's going to be, the Vikings will be a lot closer. I can imagine him going to one of these two games. We'll see what happens. And if he doesn't, it's up to him. It's obviously... It's not, why didn't you go to the game? Like, I would never say that a million times. I can count on one hand how many games I've been to since I've done Purple Mafia. I'd rather just watch it and do the podcast. It's just how it is. Anyhow, Matt Martin says, Hawk who? Like Hawkinson, like who is that? Yeah, he's done nothing, right? Matt Martin continues, says, now we've lost JJ. We all remember 2017. You know what I'm thinking. Carson Wentz is going to lead the Vikings to the NFC Championship game. Yeah, so far it has been kind of like that the last, I don't know. Vikings history is funny, isn't it? It really is. I mean, going back to Randall Cunningham, Brad Johnson was the quarterback of the future. He was 28 already, though, in that case. But still, he was the quarterback of the future. It took, half his career to become a starter. But yeah, still, he was what they call a developmental quarterback. Yeah, Brad Johnson's case, he wasn't like a blue chip. But yeah, he was the quarterback of the future in the present. Cunningham replaces him after that broken ankle against the St. Louis Rams, they were called then, of course. And that was the 98 Vikings. Yeah, they had one loss because they couldn't stop Mike Allstott late in the game. The Vikings, that is, against the Bucks. Mike Allstott, they just couldn't stop him. And then they played against a similar, better version of that Buccaneers team in the Atlanta Falcons several months later. And, yeah, you know what happened. Isaiah Rodgers Sr., follow. Who's this guy? Simply called Carter, follow back. I'll follow you. Sorry about that. Sorry for not following right away. I just followed Isaiah Rodgers finally. Sorry, Isaiah. Of course, he's got 34,000 followers. I'm sure that went up, actually, during the past few hours. Continuing, Mad Martin says, an opening touchdown. I forgot what those look like. Continuing with Mad Martin, it's good to see a 2-score lead, but ultimately the purpose for this season is to get McCarthy to a level where he's actually just good. Today does nothing for that long-term goal. I'm nodding in approval. Yeah. Yep, because nobody can see me doing it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I completely understand that. Like, it's not a good thing when you're young, developing, not developmental, but developing, because he's actually young, unlike Brad Johnson is out. He's just simply out. Like last year, other than the mental part of the game, or just kind of understanding, like, film and such, it did basically nothing for him. Like the mechanics and everything did nothing for him, being out the whole damn year. It sucked. Very depressing to say the least. Next, continuing with Mad Martin. As it's NFL Throwback Sunday, I can imagine those purple people eaters would be most impressed with today's defense. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And again, God rest the soul of Jim Marshall, no doubt. No doubt. Dave Hickey wraps up fan interaction, coming in and out of Iowa, says, that's the kind of Viking win I like to see, and that looks like the offense. Excuse me, let's read this a little better. That's the kind of Viking win I like to see, and that looks like the offense should look. Yep, like how the offense should look. The Bengals defense isn't supposed to be that good, though. Yeah, that was annoying. Still a good team win. Yeah, because half of our points were defensive plays, which is funny, thanks to Isaiah Rodgers. But yeah, they got some sacks on Carson Wentz. But I don't know. Still 48-10 is what it is. Vikings were spectacular. It was a fun game, generally speaking, on both sides of the ball. And we'll take it. Absolutely. I'm sure Dave Hickey feels that way. And it's exciting, no doubt. So, well, Pittsburgh Steelers next week. I picked the Vikings to win by 10. I could be way off. I hope not. I keep looking at this. Yeah, it's the right microphone. I'm paranoid right now. I think I'm a little too far away, and I apologize. Yeah, I didn't bring it as little. It's like an inch, like 1 inch difference. It makes a huge difference. It really does. So a lot of people are usually very close to their microphones. So, yeah, I know. Mark said to relax. So, yes, I thank you for that. Yeah, September's already rolling on through. Thankfully, that storm or whatever already stopped, but we'll see what happens here. Enough of the weather. Just hoping the Vikings can continue on this positive side of things, this positive trend here, we'll call it, and continue to be undefeated across the pond. How about that? So we're going to play. It's funny how we always wind up with the same couple teams, it seems like. Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, we did play Cleveland and Pittsburgh already over there. And then the Jets, and then the weird one was the Saints. That was kind of like a very random, strange choice there. And it was a very close game. But the Vikings, again, are undefeated across the pond, and we have a chance to go 6-0 by the end of this whole run. Hopefully the Vikings get to 5-0 first, though. Can't put the cart before the horse. So got to beat the Steelers first. And Cleveland has already beaten the Green Bay Packers. So we'll see how that turns out at the end of the day. So it's going to be quite a battle, to say the least. If you're listening out there, if you've never introduced yourself, please, because I know there's more listeners than just a few people here. Few people have been absolutely holding this show up. Oh, Sam Gupta. I forgot. Yep, he's one of them. He's been around since like 2009-ish. Like, he goes way back. And he posted a response on the YouTube page, again, at Purple Mafia Show, which, it's still got just a few views. It's not too many yet, but at least there's a comment. Where'd it go? Just show me the damn comment. God. I tell you how frustrating that is. It won't show it to me. But I know it was Sam Gupta basically saying, yeah, that was a really impressive game, basically. It was something along those lines. I don't know why I can't see it. Oh, there it is. I just want to see the damn comment. Yeah, published. Just show me the comment, you idiot. This thing is so annoying. Okay, there he is, Sam Gupta. Man, this is annoying how that works. Yep, it's a YouTube studio. Feels like it's been forever since we had a game like this. And yes, absolutely, Sam. And great to hear from you. Sam's coming out of California. So really appreciate Sam. Please do subscribe to the Purple Mafia Show on YouTube if you could. Because again, trying to put a shot in the arm in the show. 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. Apple Podcasts or Spotify would be greatly appreciated as well. Please, guys, get that thing going. Get those algorithms up if we could, because it's been struggling. It's been a struggle. There are listeners, but it's been a struggle with the algorithm for many years, actually. So that's just kind of how it goes. So many new shows came up, and the algorithms seem to be more friendly to those guys, regardless of what you feel about those shows versus this one. With that said, thank you again so much for listening. God bless you, and we'll talk to you next week.